Star blessings. Let's talk about the new moon in Taurus coming up, which is going to be conjunct Uranus, which is really the main kind of highlight. But I guess I've been thinking about it the last sort of few hours, and we're really sort of coming out of those two eclipses that we had, right? So we had the Aries solar eclipse on the 20th of April, followed by the Scorpio lunar eclipse. So two Mars ruled signs, right, of two eclipses to start off 2023, if you like. It's a very intense entry into this year. Those energies, of course, they're still in the ether, right? Because eclipses, there's different schools of thought on this, of course, but as a general rule, the eclipses pathway is really open, for 6 months, right? So the energy is still very palpable. I wonder how you guys are feeling it. I can still feel it. And I think with this new moon, we're coming out of the Scorpio lunar eclipse, which it's such a powerful new moon that we're stepping into because of what we're coming out of from the point of view of matters and themes and feelings and circumstances and storylines and narratives and beliefs and perspectives, whatever it is for all of us that we've been able to purge and clear up and clean. I was thinking a lot the last few days about just our energy and how everything is energy. Literally everything is energy, right? So what we eat, the food that we eat has a particular vibration to it. It has a frequency. It's an energy that we put into our body. What we think, our thinking body vibrates with a particular energy. Our emotional body, our spiritual body, the words that we use, everything carries a particular energy. Whatever we participate in, whatever we allow into our field holds a particular vibration. A very simple example, if you're on social media, for instance, and you may think that this doesn't have an effect, but it actually does. All the people that you have on your Facebook friends list, for instance, some people have thousands and thousands. I used to, and I've started to clear all that up. A few months ago, I cleared out over 2,500, actually 3,000 people I cleared off my list because they were people that I didn't know, didn't interact with. Some were not even active on Facebook. Some I literally went through every profile to look at it carefully and decide consciously whether I wanted that energetic exchange with that particular individual. And in most cases, the answer was no, I don't. And yesterday, actually, I did that again, and this morning, and I've cleared out another couple of hundred because with Pluto, for me, transiting Pluto is on my ascendant, right? And it's been a very interesting journey the last 15 years. It's been in the 12th house. And I won't go into what that was, but it's been the most incredible, the most powerful, the most painful years of my life, the last 15 years. And as it's, nearing my ascendant, it's pretty much there now. There's this, very strong sense that I'm getting of the need to clear and finish what's still remaining from that 12th house. And that includes where I'm putting my energy, just even simple things like social media and whatever. I don't want my energy to be contaminated. Now, you may be wondering, how is this relevant to the new moon? It is very relevant because the new moon is in Taurus, right? That's our physical body. So it's our physical body. It's the way we stabilize things, the way we sort out our resources. Our resources are emotional, spiritual, physical, mental. We have resources on all these different streams. Taurus is our resources. And Taurus, of course, sits opposite Scorpio. So the lunar eclipse in Scorpio showed us, if you like, what we were ready to clear and purge and release and die to And the Taurus New Moon is now opening a new path with Uranus there to help us put into motion and stabilize more concrete forms of the values that we now hold, as opposed to what we used to, the values that we used to have, the beliefs we used to have, because the world has changed, right? So our consciousness is expanding, our awareness is expanding, our perspectives are expanding. We're realizing more and more and more of the fabricated information that's being put out there, the deception, the lies, the illusions. You know, we're becoming so much more clearer on that. And I think, you know, in the past, we've just sort of allowed our energy to just, not all of us and not all the time, but generally speaking, we may have allowed our energy to just be connected to anything and anyone, as it were, not understanding and not realizing that that actually has a cost. It has a consequence. It is an attachment that is attached to your auric field, your energetic field, your magnetic fields, right? And Taurus reminds us of that. It reminds us of being in the body, stabilizing our resources, our foundations from a new perspective now, because we've come out of these eclipses. We've been able to hopefully and potentially sort through things that we've needed to clear out of our life. I've cleared out quite a lot of things. And I have to say, since I've cleared out some things, that includes people out of my life, you know, different bits and pieces, I feel my energy feels like it's starting to come back to me. I was feeling really quite drained, actually. And I've also got a rib injury, you know, that I've had now for over 3 weeks, and I'm still in a lot of pain, actually. Now, rib injuries can take up to 6 weeks, up to several months. It just depends, right? And I'm still suffering from it. So that has compounded on just everything that I do from a day-to-day basis, including my thinking and everything. So, you know, long story short, with this new moon, what I've been thinking is, yeah, the lunar eclipse really highlighted for me what I needed to cut out of my life that was actually draining me. And with this new moon, I'm putting forth an energy that is more aligned with my values and what I want to create, right, which is Taurus. And, you know, with Taurus, everything moves slowly, right? Now we're going to have Jupiter going into Taurus very shortly as well. I think tomorrow, actually. So there's a lot of new shifts with this Taurus energy. And of course, when Jupiter ingresses into Taurus, it's going to straight away square Pluto. That's a massive, massive transit. But today, I do actually just want to talk about, I'm just going to share my screen, the new moon, because I would like to come back and do a separate video just for Jupiter and Taurus. But, you know, in any case, I will be perhaps mentioning Jupiter a little bit here and there today. So for the new moon, which is 20th of May, that is in Southern Hemisphere in Australia where I am. So for your location, it's going to be on the 19th if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So there's the new moon at 28 degrees, 25 minutes for Taurus. And you can see Uranus is right there with the new moon. Now, Uranus is a transpersonal planet, a transpersonal energy. It speaks to a lot of different things, but its primary purpose, if you like, is to help us liberate ourselves from the conditioned mindsets, behaviors, anything that's conditioned within us, which is Saturn, of course. Uranus is the one that sets us free from that, potentially, right? I wrote a post yesterday about Uranus suggesting that there are 3 ways that we respond to the call of Uranus, okay? And they are these. So the first point is that when we have a Uranus transit, now I'm not saying this is exactly the case with the new moon with Uranus. It might be for some people, because if this new moon is landing somewhere really significant in the chart, such as, you know, hitting off personal planets, in a house where you've got a lot of Taurus planets, or if it's hitting off, you know, one of the angles of the chart, right? The ascendant, MC, descendant, or IC. There's something very significant that could take place with this lunation cycle. Remember, the 4 angles of the chart are the 4 pinnacle components of our life, right? They are the cross of matter that holds the structures of our life, the pillars of our life, right? So with Uranus, as I was saying, there's 3 ways of experiencing transit. The first way is to embody the transit totally and just go with it completely. No resistance, just total embodiment, and just being with that energy and allowing it to bring to your consciousness whatever it needs to bring. Most people don't do that, though. That's a reality. The second way is to embody part of the aspects of what it shows up in our life, that is the changes, because usually with Uranus it brings things that leave our life suddenly, things that shake the foundations that we're trying to hold on to. It can bring trauma and it can bring chaos as well. It just depends who we are, what's going on in our life and our circumstances. But fundamentally, more we resist the call of Uranus, the more cataclysmic in nature the transit feels. So point 1 is embodiment of the transit without any resistance. Point 2 is embodying some components of it and resisting others, and that's the most common position that people will take. And point 3 is to resist it altogether. And when we resist the Uranus energy completely, that is, we try to suppress it, we block it and resist it, it actually is a much more difficult energy to handle, right? Because the energy will find a way to come out in some situation, experience, so forth. And because we're trying to suppress it, there's this resistance. And when it breaks those walls, those things that we are holding on to, it's going to come through in potentially a cataclysmic way, or a way that really shocks us out of our core, so to speak, right? So that's how we generally respond to the Uranus call. I mean, that's that theory, which actually derives from Jeffrey McBrain's teachings. And I'm not saying it because I've read it through his material. I'm saying it because I've lived it. And I've seen it transpiring in many people's lives over the years as I've looked at people's charts. So with this new moon, there is a really, there's a powerful alignment with Uranus, suggesting that whatever we've been able to clear up with the lunar eclipse, this Uranus energy is pointing to a new sense of freedom, a new sense of detachment, having moved away from old things that we've outgrown, that have drained our energy, that serve no purpose anymore, that we're ready to move on, as it were, right? Because Scorpio is always about dying to something. We can't go through the Scorpio pathway, tunnel, energy, vortex, whatever you want to call it, without actually purging something, even just on a pure emotional feeling body state. And that has many layers to it as well. So, new moon in Taurus with Uranus, be open to the unexpected as well, because Uranus is the one planet that we cannot predict exactly what's going to happen. Prediction in general is actually not an easy thing, because there are numerous possibilities with every single transit. That is truth. If somebody says the opposite to that, that is that if somebody says, this is what's going to happen, this is exactly how it's going to happen, this is the exact timing, I'm sorry to say, but I don't think they're being very honest when they say that. Unless they are utterly, authentically, completely clairvoyant, and they have that ability to see that. There's not many people that can do that. So with Uranus, it's really difficult to predict because it is the energy that corresponds to the unpredictable, the unknown. So we, when we're stepping into a new moon in Taurus, we can think about and feel into the somatic, which comes from the Greek word soma, which means body. We can feel into our body to use or to connect with, probably is a better word, with the Uranus insights and intuition and right brain to allow us to open into things that we normally cannot see because we are so conditioned with our mindsets, with our beliefs, with what we think can happen. We become so stuck in certain ways in terms of our values, beliefs, and morals, and whatever it is, and we think that's it, right? But there's always possibility. There's always things can happen suddenly sometimes and unexpectedly as well. And that's certainly the vibration of Uranus. And I was also thinking today, quite apart from the fact that everything is energy, so where we invest our energy. Now, investing is connected to Taurus, right? It's a Venus-ruled sign, and Venus is where we share our energy, our time, our love, our resources. And it's a different thing to be connected to the human family and try and adopt an attitude of love for all, as it were, wanting peace and harmony for the planet, for humanity, the human soul family. That's another thing. That's bigger picture, more transpersonal perspectives or ideals. But then when it comes to our own personal, immediate environment, life choices, day-to-day life, we do need to be clear on where we wish to channel our energy. And Taurus really helps us tune into that from our physical body. If we want to talk about health, the physical body is the most powerful doctor you will ever communicate with. It tells you exactly what is going on with your body at any given time. Whether we are aware of that or whether we choose to pay attention to that is another story. But the body is always speaking to us, and Taurus really takes us into the physicality of those senses. In other levels, we have the Taurus Venus-ruled sign component of, as I said, resources and values. It's also speaking to our own internal level of security and safety as well. So Uranus can threaten that that stability that Taurus seeks to have, right? Because Taurus doesn't like to be moved too quickly, and it doesn't necessarily move easily into the unknown or the unexpected territory. Taurus likes to be stable, solid, secure, and safe. So Uranus here, for some people, it might create a bit of a jolt, a bit of a shock, a bit of an unexpected situation, which could be a blessing though. Could be a blessing because it could help you release some attachments, that you're holding on to that just don't allow you to grow, because we do become stagnant as human beings. The Taurus part of in the personality sort of level of things is that side of us that becomes attached, right? Attached to a lifestyle, an idea, a routine, everything. Attachment is Taurus, period. And what sits opposite Taurus is Scorpio. Scorpio's one that acts as the agent that reminds Taurus, gives it a bit of a tap on the shoulder and says, hey, all this stuff you're stacking up over here needs to go. There's no room for you to move anywhere, to grow with all this stuff that you're holding on to. So the Uranus energy here really helps us liberate from attachments that we are still holding on to, that really we've just outgrown, but we hold on to them because they are familiar. They provide what I like to call a false sense of security. We think that the more we hold on to things, the safer and more grounded we will be, as it were. But the flip side to that coin is that when we are so rigid and so holding on to attitudes, whatever it is, we're not clearing the path and inviting the energy into a new space to have new insights, to have new experiences, to make new connections, to have new understandings. And, you know, Mercury is in Taurus as well. So this is all Mercury, North Node, Jupiter, all in Taurus, Vesta in Taurus, New Moon in Taurus, a lot of Taurus energy, but the Uranus component is the one that can help us break away from old attachments. That's what I really love about this particular new moon. And it's coming off the back of that, you know, Scorpio lunar eclipse, which I think has been, you know, pretty challenging. But on the other hand, it's been really cathartic as well. Just deep emotional soul cleansing and purifying. You know, being really real and authentic and truthful about the motivation behind this relationship, that connection, this idea, that thing, that situation. What's the true motivation behind it? You know, Scorpio leaves no stone unturned. Scorpio is the X-ray vision. It's going to go in, it's going to, you know, go through it with a comb, as it were, right? Show you everything if you are prepared to see it. If you're not prepared to see it, then of course, you know, Scorpio has other components to it where, you know, we can project that energy and we become paranoid or suspicious of others or jealous or angry or vindictive. You know, all that shit comes along as well. Depends on our own awareness and consciousness and ability to be really honest with ourselves, you know. So I love this new moon from the point of view of Uranus being there. And also, you know, Taurus is the sign of money. So if we want to talk about the material world and money, and Taurus is the land and it's real estate, your home, you could be investing in property, investing in a home, moving into a new home. There's lots of supportive energies here for those kinds of things at the moment, even though the world largely looks like it's gone to shit for the most part, because it has on that external personality level. But that's only like that's only one dress, right, that we're seeing covering the narrative of this 3D reality. At much deeper soul evolutionary levels, the earth is clearing for us. She's clearing. She's going through a massive transition herself, you know. So there's lots of things changing, being removed, discarded, even though we may hear things to the contrary relative to consensus reality and media, and the fear porn that continuously goes on, right? But we've got to have faith, right? We've got to have faith. And faith comes from Jupiter, the ability to trust in the wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of consciousness, the wisdom inside your own body, the wisdom that comes from your soul, right? Jupiter injects that into us, as it were. So Jupiter in Taurus is going to expand on what it began on in Aries, right? Very simply put. But this Taurus, and also I just want to point to Vesta, who's in Taurus as well at the moment, and also catching up to a conjunction with Uranus. So out of all this stellium here, Vesta is the closest to Uranus. Now, Vesta is the goddess that I often speak about, and I always start by saying that she's a deeply mystical, complex goddess that, yes, does connect to sexuality, sexual issues, tantra, the more occult side of sexual energy and so forth. But at a more mundane material level, she speaks to what we invest in. That's where the word investment comes from the goddess Vesta. So here she is in Taurus conjunct Uranus. So her actually, let's just have a look at when she catches up to Uranus, because I think that's that's going to be an interesting little talk there. So we'll see. So it's within range now. It's actually, look, it's within range at the new moon, right? But the exactness is right there, which is, where are we? 31st of May. Okay, so 31st of May, lead up a few days before that, energy is still open post 31st of May because she'll only have moved possibly 1 degree if we click over 1 day. Vesta is what you invest in, so Uranian things, right? I mean, that's a classic sort of symbol for investing in, that could be investing in property, right? For sure, because it's Taurus. Investing in something that you really truly value, that's going to be sustainable as well, you know, sort of long term and moving on, because Taurus is what sustains us, what we actually try to create, as it were, that brings a sense of sustainability in our life. That's Taurus. So in Vesta and Uranus, that could be investing in astrology readings, astrology course, anything to do with astrology, really. Uranus being the planet of astrology. So that's just something, a side note to kind of consider. But let's just go back to the new moon chart. What else is happening? I want to come back and do a separate video on Jupiter in Taurus, even though by the new moon it's already there. It doesn't matter. It's going to be there for a year. Slow and steady wins the race comes to mind when I think about Jupiter in Taurus. In Aries, it was, you know, all blazing fire and guns, you know, initiating lots of different things. But that initiating stage is, it's like the new moon, planting the seed. Taurus is going to bring some kind of form to things. But again, I'll come back and talk about that separately, because that square to Pluto is highly significant for sure. And in addition to that, Mars will move into Leo, I think tomorrow, as in after, just a day after the new moon, and that will, yeah, immediately form a square to Jupiter, and obviously it'll be in a T-square with Pluto and Jupiter. So that's, gosh, that's a really powerful T-square. That is loaded with charge and energy and willpower, desire. And Jupiter and Mars and Jupiter and Pluto is, one way to think about that is unlimited energy, really. It's a very powerful aspect. I'll come back and talk about that. So yeah, with this new moon in Taurus, some things to think about is thinking about things differently, stepping outside of the box, allowing yourself to step into what you can't see, the unknown. That's Uranus, the unknown, which is beyond the security that the world of Saturn allegedly provides, which we know in truth, there is no such thing as permanent security, not in this third dimension reality, because everything is subject to change, and the only thing that is certain is impermanence. Uranus provides the channel for being more authentic. So there's an alignment here with the new moon and Uranus speaking to tapping into more values that are more authentically aligned with you. where you're at this point in your evolution, in your journey. Breaking old structures, you know, old conditions, things like that. The other thing that I want to just quickly touch on is Pallas Athena, who recently ingressed into Leo, has been opposite Pluto. And I think it's a really powerful aspect, actually. And, you know, Pallas Athena is the daughter of Zeus, of Jupiter, right? She was born out of his head. So she's the feminine counterpart of wisdom, right? And I think when we're looking at her transits, she's not an obvious. A lot of what transpires is not always obvious with her. She's a little bit more obscure. That's one thing I've noticed over the years. You know, in regards to, for example, when you're looking at Ceres tends to be really obvious with what she brings up. So does Juno, for that matter. Pallas and Vesta are more obscure in what they produce. But in any case, if there is something that is emanating from this portal, Pallas opposite Pluto, it would be speaking from our heart, Leo, and using the wisdom that Pallas Athena provides to speak that wisdom through our heart. Now, it is an opposition, and oppositions are usually polarized energies. So there's also likely to be strong conflicts with certain things that people are trying to bring forth from their heart, and the wisdom that's emanating through that as well, because it's opposite Pluto, and Pluto typically will be the one that gets projected, and whoever or whatever it gets projected on, it will, because it's being projected, it will appear as a force that's very, very powerful, that's trying to sort of stop you from speaking from your heart, as it were. It'll be the force that confronts you and tries to challenge you and overpower you, as it were. Pluto will behave in that way as well. The planets don't behave in any particular way. They basically signify various attitudes, energies. They have specific descriptions and so forth. And there are numerous possibilities with each planet, but depending on our own consciousness and our own vibration and what we are aware of and what we are projecting, that will be the decider as to how we experience the energies. It's not a cause and effect, right? Planets don't cause anything, believe it or not. It is our own doing, right? So anyway, Pallas Athena at a more inspiring and uplifting level, if you like. Pallas Athena opposite Pluto will also penetrate through a lot of the bullshit that's being communicated, right? So that's just another side note. But she's teaching us to trust the wisdom in our heart. That would be like the caption for Pallas Athena in Leo. Trust the wisdom in your heart. And it's a little bit like trusting your instincts, Pluto instincts, Aries, Mars, first house, all those correspond to instincts. It's like when you know something feels wrong, right, inside you, that's, call it your inner voice, call it your higher consciousness, call it your intuition, call it whatever you want. That is that part in you that knows, and the doors are open so you can actually see, right? And you see it through the way you feel about it, right? Because everything is energy. So we feel the vibration of everything around us to such an extent and such an extreme that if we were tuned into every single vibration emanating all around us 24/7, it would be too much. That's why Saturn on a healthy level serves as an amazing planetary energy to help us put in boundaries, right? To kind of keep certain things at bay instead of letting everything infiltrate us, as it were. So, you know, every energy has a purpose, and every planetary archetype and energy has its light, shadow side, if you want to use those words, or challenging sides and more abundant sides, if you like. What else have we got going on? I think they're the main things. I just really wanted to bring home in this video, through this message, trust your intuition, Uranus. If you can't see the outcome, it doesn't matter. We have to trust. We can only control so much. We can only see so much. The rest of it is unconscious, and the rest of that is just completely unknown. And how do we navigate through that? With some, you know, some sensibility, being sensible, right? Grounded Taurus, practical, realistic, but also allowing ourselves to move freely with the energy too, because it can take us in any one direction. Uranus can take you anywhere. It's not limited. Limitations come from Saturn, not Uranus. So trust your intuition. Trust it might bring up some anxiety, some uncertainty. Just trust it. But the uncertainty can't be controlled. You can't get to a point where you can control what's uncertain. You just simply need to be with that uncertainty, even if it provokes anxiety. I know it's a hard one. I'm not suggesting it's easy, but the more we can try to do that, the more we can utilize the Uranian energy, the call of Uranus, in a way through some type of embodiment, some type of acceptance, as opposed to resistance, because resistance is what brings up the things that then turn into accidents, cataclysmic events, problems, and so forth, right? It's just being able to trust and go with the energy, and trust what your body is telling you as well. I mean, Uranus in Taurus, you know, conjunct this new moon, there's deep intelligence in the physical body, deep wisdom, intuition, insights, breaking through the things that have led to us being conditioned, the way we perceive, hold on to things, the narratives we hold on to, and so forth. And this is all, you know, heading into a totally new experience of what looks like reality with Pluto and Aquarius. And, you know, it's amplifying things quite a lot, that Pluto and Aquarius, and I'm still yet to come and talk about that. I've just written a few posts here and there. But I think I mentioned a little while ago, I just want to sit with this energy a little bit, and because for me, Pluto at the moment is right on my ascendant. So I'm processing and assimilating this Pluto energy very, very personally at the moment. I'm not going to come back and talk about it personally, but this personal assimilation and reflection that I'm going through with Pluto at 0 Aquarius on my ascendant is going to be the thing that's going to inform me of what I'm going to speak to. So I'm just kind of waiting. We've got a long time. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for almost 20 years. So there's no rush. And I know there's loads of videos out there already at the moment. So that video will come when the timing is right. Speaking of timing, everything has a timing, because our soul is the decider of the timing of everything. The personality part of us might resist, and that Taurus nature about us, if you like, when it's working in a way that's perhaps not to our advantage, it keeps us stagnant and stuck. And Uranus is saying, hey, let's liberate some of those attachments and those stagnations in this new moon cycle. So go with it, trust it. Okay, I'm gonna go, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Much love, many star blessings, and yeah, hope the new moon brings forth some powerful, excitement. That's a good word for Uranus. Exciting new insights for the foundations that you are laying moving forward. And just remember, with Taurus, nothing happens quickly. Jupiter's going to be in Taurus for 1 year. This is a really powerful time to start consolidating, but consolidating consciously how you want your life to shape, how you want things to start to take form. You won't have like a clear picture of that with this new moon, even post this new moon. But this is a new moon is a really, it's a really beautiful energy to put in some of those foundations now and be clear about what you've released with the Scorpio lunar eclipse that recently occurred. Okay, bye for now.